Hello everyone, this is PotatoLegion here. I hope you are keeping very well. I will be finally doing my own tier list for every single killer in the game. My tier list will be slightly unique to others, as I'll be actually scoring killers in certain categories and giving them an overall lettered tier system. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to reward the killers in 4 separate categories, and then I'll give them a total amount of points. If they get 6 to 8 points, they'll be in D tier. If they get 9 to 10 points, they'll be in C tier. If they get 11 to 12 points, they'll be B tier. A tier is 13 to 14 points, and any points over 15 will be S tier. So how I'm going to be doing it is categorizing map pressure and then breaking that down into 3 separate categories. So that'll be stealth, speed, and any bonus powers that I think the killer has. For instance, being able to insta-down, forcing survivors having to mend, forcing them to have to cleanse, forcing them to have to snap out of madness. Anything that really slows the game down with their power that's unique to the killer, I'll be giving them an additional bonus, and then I'll be scoring them out of their anti-loop potential. So the first 3 categories of map pressure will be scored out of 5, and then the anti-loop will be scored out of 10. The reason I'm doing the anti-loop out of 10 is because it's such a wide gap for, say, let's somebody like Myers versus Nurse. There's such a huge skill gap in terms of their anti-loop potential. Nurse is near the 10 mark, Myers is near the bottom. I had to make it wider for the different types of killer in the game. This is my opinion on how I've decided to do it. It might not be the smartest way, it might not be the best way. You might completely disagree with everything I'm about to say. That is fine, you are entitled to your opinion, and I'd be more than happy to read your opinion in the comments below, but please do respect my opinion, and maybe some of you even agree where I'm coming from in this ranking system. Don't be disappointed if your killer is on the bottom of the tier list. If you bring the right perks and add-ons, every killer in this list can be very deadly if used correctly. I hope we got that out of the way, guys, and another reminder, this is just my opinion. It's not factual. So let's get straight into the tier list. I'm going to start from D tier and then work my way up to S tier. The first killer on my list is going to be Trapper, and I'm going to put him straight onto D tier. Trapper is overall a very weak killer, but if used correctly can be very deadly as he requires a lot of setup. But let's go into the categories for map pressure. I'm going to start off with his stealth factor. Being a solid 0, you may be thinking his traps can be very stealthy and sneaky, but in terms of the actual Trapper's presence, he's got a very normal terror radius. You know when he's coming, and you can actually prepare if he's not in the area, and if you see any traps, you can disarm them, and the entire map gets a notification of when a trap is disarmed as well. In terms of his speed, I gave him a 1 out of 5. He's just a normal mobility killer. He hasn't got any faster speed boosts from vaulting or running around. He's just a normal killer in terms of movement speed. I've given him a bonus of 2 for his trap potential. If a survivor steps in a trap, they can be stuck there for a little while, and he can get an insta-down if he's in the area. But of course, this requires him to set up. That's why he's only got 2 points. His anti-loop potential is only a 5. Again, he needs to set up, and he's only got 1 trap in hand with no add-ons. Of course, with add-ons, you can bring a lot more, but these traps can be disarmed prior to him being there, and Trapper has to be very, very territorial. If Trapper leaves his area, survivors can disarm traps, and he basically has no power and is very worthless. Against a very good team that is calling out where your traps are, it's very hard to be good with Trapper. So I've given him an overall score of 8. That's why he is currently sitting in the D tier section. Next killer on this list for me is Michael Myers. I've given Michael a stealth factor of 4 out of 5. You may be a bit confused as to why I haven't given him a 5 out of 5. It's because Myers has a lot of noise indications that alerts the entire map of his presence. So when he's in tier 1 to tier 2, he may jump scare that one survivor at the start and get an initial hit, but he has to work up his way in tiers before he's fast enough to actually give you a good chase. And the entire map is now alert that it's Michael Myers on the map in tier 2. And of course in tier 3 he has a very normal terror radius, so you know when he's coming. So that's why he does not get full marks in his stealth factor. Of course, if you're playing Spoon Myers, then yes, he would have a full score, but if we're going overall with no good add-ons, then he is only getting a 4. His speed is like Trapper, he's just a normal movement speed killer. He's only getting a 1 in this, and he's getting a bonus score of 2 because he has the potential to insta-down. His anti-loop potential is awful. He's just an M1 killer. He can lunge slightly further in tier 3, and he can vault slightly faster, but that's not really going to do you well in loops. Survivors can drop pallets early to deal with his tier 3, so I've given him a 1 out of 10. You might be offended by that, but I honestly think Myers has no anti-loop potential whatsoever, unless you complement tier 3 with perks. So his overall score is like Trapper's, and that is an 8, and he sits in D tier. Next killer on the list is Clown, and Clown will be going in C tier. Clown has no stealth potential whatsoever. Like Trapper, he has a normal, unique music terror radius, and you know when he's coming. He's also very loud when he vaults, and when he gets stunned, and when he throws bottles, he likes to let you know that he's throwing bottles by coughing and shouting. In terms of speed, I've given him a 2, because he has the potential to increase his speed by 10%, and of course he can slow down survivors as well. Clown is a very strong anti-loop killer, and of course you really don't want to be chased by a clown. I know a lot of people that don't enjoy being chased by a clown because he can slow you down and speed himself up. So I've given him an anti-loop potential of 7, given him a total score of 9. Next killer on this list is actually Ghostface. I put him in C tier, which I'm a bit scared might offend some of you, but let me explain my reasons why. Ghostface has a 5 out of 5 stealth factor, an extremely quiet killer, and in his shroud you literally can't hear it when he's coming. I've been jump scared and screamed by Ghostface a lot, and there's no noise indication of when he's there unless you're staring at him, but if you're staring at him, you know he's there. So really sneaky killer, has the ability to crouch as well. Very quiet, great stealth factor. In terms of speed, 1 out of 5, just a slow mobility killer. Nothing going too great in terms of his movement across the map. Given him a bonus of 2 because of his ability to insta-down, and his anti-loop potential I've only given a 1. Of course, if he gets that initial stealth hit on you, that's great, but in terms of when you're actually in chase with Ghosty, yes, he can go back into stealth and hide his terror radius, but he's still a very weak killer in terms of anti-loop, as, you know, he's just an M1 killer, and you can drop pallets early to deal with him and expose him during chase, so he's not really got anything great in his arsenal to deal with anti-loop. That's why I've only given it a 1, his total score being 9. Next killer on this list is actually Pig, and I deem her C tier as well. A lot of you might be thinking she's D tier, but judging by my scoring system, she managed to score a 9, and I'll explain why. So her stealth factor is a 3, because she has the ability to constantly go in and out of stealth. Even though it's a lot slower, the fact that she can do it quite quickly and crouch is very good, and she has complete control of whether or not she can go in stealth, and she can get the sneak up on survivors. The reason she doesn't get full marks is, of course, you can see pig traps around the map, so you know to keep your eyes peeled for her, and when she uses her ambush, she makes a very loud noise letting you know that she is. Her speed is of course a 1 because she's just a slow mobility killer like most of the others before, and I've given her a bonus of 3 for her bear traps because of course when a survivor has got a trap on their head, they have to disarm it, especially if a gen has popped. I haven't given her full marks because of the whole RNG factor of the fact that you can get a trap off on the first box very quickly if you're lucky. Her anti-loop potential is only a 2. I've given her 1 more than Ghostface because she can use the ambush to get around unsafe tiles that are quite short very easily and confuse survivors. She's quite quick with her ambush. Her total score is 9. Trickster on this list is also in C tier in my opinion. Given him a stealth factor of 0 out of 5. He's just like a normal killer, very loud terror radius, you know when he's coming, and he can be quite loud when he's throwing knives in the distance. His speed is just a 1, he's a very slow mobility killer. I've given him a bonus of 1 for his laceration. Of course, it's no real punishment for having a 99 meter and then him not committing, but it can be a little bit annoying on the screen, and it does linger for a little bit of time. So let's say he throws a few knives at you, runs off, and then commits the chase to you again, and you're like halfway laceration, he can quickly get you injured again. That's why I've scored him a 1. And his anti-loop out of 10. Now this is going by what we've seen in the latest PTB and his future potential. Old Trickster would probably get about a 5 or a 4 in anti-loop. Really, really bad anti-loop in my opinion. But now that it only takes 6 knives instead of 8, and his main event is a lot quicker, I'm actually going to give him an 8, which is going to be very frustrating for some survivors going against Trickster, because now he can injure you at windows and at other loop tiles very quickly. I think Trickster is going to be a very deadly killer coming out of this PTB if they keep him the way he's going. Next killer on this list is Doctor. Doctor I've scored a 0 for stealth, very loud with his power. Of course, Doctor is a very loud killer and trying to get everyone into madness as quickly as they can, so I wouldn't give him any stealth factor, unless of course you're bringing add-ons that reduce his terror radius once you've used your static blast. In terms of speed, he's like the other killers, he's just a 1, and I've given him a bonus of 4 out of 5. This is because of his madness potential and slowing the game down massively if he gets everyone shocked with static blast. And of course, doing skill checks can be very annoying once you've got that madness going. His anti-loop, I've given a 5 out of 10. It's not the best in the world, but if you use your shock on certain tiles very correctly, you can guarantee a hit. But it takes a bit of skill, and not every loop can be used correctly with his zap. Survivors can still get away or drop a pallet early to avoid that shock. It takes a lot of skill to use Doctor correctly, but in the right hands it can be very deadly, and I think he sits comfortably well in the C tier with an overall score of 10. Next killer in the C tier list is going to be Legion. Legion I've given a stealth factor of 0, has a normal terror radius, you know when the Legion's coming, and in Feral Frenzy they actually have a larger terror radius, so you can hear them even further away. Speed I've given a 3, in Feral Frenzy they are very, very fast, and the fact that they can vault pallets and windows with you makes them very deadly, and they're always going to get you injured if they start a chase with you in Feral Frenzy. Given a bonus of 4, like Doctor, when you are hit by their power, it does slow you down, but Legion's is very good as it forces you to mend, and of course this gives the Legion information on where other survivors are. Anti-loop I've given a 3. The reason I've given a 1, and you may be thinking Legion is just an M1 killer, but in terms of actually getting you injured with Feral, the Legion can do it so easily, and then they just have to deal with you in 1 health state, whereas other killers will probably have to hit you twice, and that's why I've scored them less. I haven't given Legion a massively great anti-loop scorer, but I hope you see where I'm coming from. I've rewarded them 2 because they can get you initially injured very easily, but they're still an M1 killer at the end of the day, and they've still got to work very hard to get you downed if you're in a very good position as a survivor. So I've given them an overall score of 10. Next killer on this list I've deemed is Billy. Now Billy would definitely be getting a higher score if his overheat mechanic wasn't such a nuisance for Billy players, and he's a very, very high skill cap killer to use correctly. I still cannot believe he is labelled as easy. His stealth factor is 0. Billy is so loud. His chainsaw lets you know when he's coming a mile away. Unless he's got perks to complement this, you're going to know that he's coming so easily. His speed I've given a 5 out of 5. Very fast killer. Can always use his chainsaws to navigate around the map, so he'll always have a presence there if used correctly. Given a bonus of 2 for his capabilities of insta-downing. And his anti-loop potential I've only given a 3. Of course, in the right hands, where some Billy mains can curve and do these crazy things, against a really good survivor who knows how to deal with Billies and can drop pallets early, it's very difficult to actually get a good hit around a certain tile. And I know I've done a video previously of me going against a very insane Billy, but it's a lot of work to get to that point, and I kind of want to base this tier list around, you know, your average Joe, not somebody who's just going out of their way to practice curving like crazy. I still think Billy is very weak at curving on certain tiles, and I still think survivors can get away quite easily. And I think where I'm scoring Billy here might get me a little bit of hate in the comments, but I'm going to stick to my gut and say that Billy is a C tier killer with an overall score of 10. Next killer on this list, now we're finally moving to the B tiers, is Bubba. And you may be thinking Billy is definitely better than Bubba, but I have to disagree with you, and we're going to go through that in just a second. Bubba's stealth factor is also 0. He is very loud, and you know when he's coming. His speed is a 3, definitely nowhere near as fast as, say, Billy, but his chainsaw going around a tight loop tile, you've got to be very careful, as he's now very quick when going around. He gets a bonus of 2 for his capability to insta-down. And I've actually given his anti-loop potential 6 out of 10, whereas Billy's is 3. The reason being is because it's very easy to navigate tight circles around with Bubba, and it forces survivors to drop the pallet early. So Bubba may be eating a lot more pallets, but once he has, he's going to be downing survivors so quickly. And I feel like he gets away with a lot more on certain loop tiles than, say, Billy does. So I actually think he's a stronger killer, but only by 1 point because I scored him 11, whereas Billy was 10. Next killer on the list is Plague, and I score her in B as well. She's got no stealth factor whatsoever. You know when she's coming, and whenever she drinks from a pool, you get a notification letting you know that she is currently in corrupt plague mode. Her speed is a 1, she's just a slow mobility killer. She gets a bonus of 4 out of 5 because of her ability to get you infected. She doesn't actually have to overcommit until you're broken. She just has to spit on you once, and over time you will gradually get injured, and then you're forced to cleanse, which then of course buffs her in her anti-loop. The reason I'm not giving her a higher score here is because she has to drink from a pool, and she can actually be stunned out of it, which is very hard to do, but can be done, and she's still got to watch out for it. And she can't hit over certain tiles with her puke, but if you have a group of survivors together and you got your corrupt purge going, you're going to have a great time as Plague. Me personally, I don't think she's that great. Maybe just because I suck with her, which is definitely true, but I'm only going to score her a 6 out of 10 in terms of her anti-loop, thus giving her a total score of 11. Next killer in this tier list is going to be Nemesis. And I have said a lot in my streams that I think Nemesis is actually A tier, but having a good think about it and judging by his score, I now comfortably put him in B tier. Let's talk about his stealth. Nemesis is very loud, very big, and you definitely know when he's coming. I'm not going to reward any stealth points for his zombies, as that's going to be part of his bonus. So that's why himself as Nemesis gets a 0. His speed is a 1. He's just a normal M1 killer in terms of speed. Bonus is 2 for the zombies on the map that have no tear radius and can get survivors infected, and of course alert Nemesis to his presence. And of course he has the whole having to take vaccines factor in there. It's not any higher because survivors don't have to take the vaccine, they just struggle more in the anti-loop section, but it is an additional slowdown in the game that survivors have to consider and can buy Nemesis a bit more time. His anti-loop I've given an 8 out of 10. The reason being is because if survivors are infected, it's very difficult for them to actually escape him while he's in chase because he's very quick. He's a normal speed killer and he can constantly use that whip. And once he's in tier 3, he has a great amount of range. You can also insta-break pallets from tier 2 onwards, which is very nice. And sometimes the zombies coming at the perfect time and hit you, and then he hits you as well, and it's just beautiful. So I'm going to reward him 8 out of 10. Maybe a bit too generous, but I think he is definitely annoying to go against in looping. So that gives him a total score of 11. Next killer in this tier list, which may turn a few heads, is Freddy. I stick Freddy in B tier. If we were talking about previous Freddy, where he could put down about 1,000 snares, then he'd probably be still in the A tiers. When we talk about Freddy's stealth, I'm going to give him a 2. When he's not... When a survivor is awake, then Freddy's tear radius is smaller, and he can get the jump on you, and you can't even see where he's coming from a certain distance, which gives him that little bit of edge of stealth, which can be quite nice on Freddy. His speed is a 4 because of his ability to teleport across the map. I'm not giving him full marks because he does have a cooldown to do this, but the time he's committed to chase and down a survivor, he can easily teleport to the other side of the map instantly, which thus gives him an insane amount of speed across the map. Giving him no bonus points because he doesn't really slow the game down in any way. You could argue that you have to wake up, but you don't have to wake up against a Freddy. And if you are going to, the clock doesn't take that much time, so I'm not going to reward him any bonus points for that. His anti-loop is 6, and you may be thinking, really? Freddy is insane at anti-loop? But he has to put down snares, you have to be asleep, and you can always leave the loop or go to a different tile or drop the pallet early to deal with his snares. So it's not the perfect anti-loop. It kind of reminds me a bit of Clown, but Clown is slightly better because he can throw bottles in chase, and the yellow bottles as well give him that little bit of edge over Freddy in terms of anti-loop. His anti-loop is still very strong. thus giving Freddy a total score of 12. Next killer on this list is Demogorgon. So Demogorgon has a stealth factor of 2, and you may be thinking Demogorgon is the loudest screaming demo puppy ever, but when he comes out of his portals, he has a slight stealth factor for a little bit, and now that his speed has increased since the last update, he can still catch survivors off by surprise, but he doesn't get full marks because of course he's very loud every time he teleports, and it gives a noise notification to the entire map when he does. His speed is a 4. This is due to his ability to teleport across the map basically instantly with not that much of a cooldown, so he has great map control and very good with controlling the map with his teleporting speed. He doesn't get any bonus marks because he doesn't slow the game down in terms of mending or with his power at all. You could argue closing portals, but survivors again don't have to close portals, and Demogorgon has a cooldown of when he can teleport to a portal. So Demogorgon's anti-loop, you may be a bit concerned why I'm only scoring a 6. I think he's got very strong anti-loop, and to get 6 is quite complimentary over Nemesis. He's very quick at his shred, but unlike Nemesis, you know, he can't hit over certain tiles as well. He's still got to be behind you and get the shred directly at you. He can't like shred over objects, which is why he's got 2 less points than someone like Nemesis. Still very, very quick and very annoying to go against, and of course he can break pallets very quickly as well with his shred. I score the Demogorgon a 12. Next killer on this list is actually Wraith. I'm giving Wraith a stealth factor of 5, and you may be thinking, well, he's quite loud, you know, he makes those gargling noises and he makes those Wraith noises. Yes, but because of his speed, he gets to sneak up on survivors very quickly, and the time they've actually heard him make those noises, because he's so quick, he'll already be behind you on cloaking, and he's got the jump on you, which gives him a very good stealth factor. His speed I've given a 3. This is due to his speed while he's cloaked. Very, very fast killer. And I've given him no bonus because he doesn't slow the game down by his power in any way. And I'm giving him a loop potential of 5. And you may be thinking, what? He's just an M1 killer. Wraith's anti-loop is very, very interesting. You might just be thinking he's an M1 killer. Of course he is when he's not in cloak. But with his cloak, he can speed up and block certain tiles. And when he comes out of cloak, he's got that nice additional lunge, which makes him quite annoying to go against. That's why I think he gets a solid score out of 5. Next killer on this tier list is actually Oni. His stealth factor is a 0. Oni is extremely loud. You get notifications of when he uses power. You get a notification of when he gets stunned. He is extremely loud. Absolutely no stealth from Oni whatsoever. His speed is a solid 5 out of 5. In his power, he's insanely quick. Great at navigating corners. Really difficult to go against. His bonus of 2 for the ability to insta-down. I give his anti-loop potential 6 out of 10. This is just due to his ability in his powered form. When he's not in his power, he's just a normal M1 killer, so he loses getting full marks. But of course, if Oni was always in his power when you spawned in and he was always running at you that quickly, then yes, he'd probably get a 10 out of 10. Because it can be quite annoying to go against that sometimes. But you can drop pallets early and you can turn tight corners as a survivor to trick some Onis. But a really good Oni in their power is probably going to get you 100% of the time if you're outpositioned. Next killer on this tier list is Deathslinger. Deathslinger has a great stealth factor of 4. Very sneaky killer. I just call him Michael Myers with a gun. He always seems to get the jump scare on most survivors because he has a smaller terror radius, which is really, really nice. Just a normal moving killer. He is slower mobility. You might be thinking he should score a 0 here, but thanks to his range, he gets a little bit of a speed bonus. I'm not going to score anyone a 0 in terms of speed. If the killer can move, then they deserve at least 1 point. And I'm going to give him a bonus of 2 for his ability to force mending on survivors. I'm not going to give it 4 marks because, of course, survivors get a lot of distance if he's forced to break and he goes into stun mode. But of course, if he hits them, then he can instantly get back in chase, and now they're forced to mend as well if he breaks off, which is really nice. His anti-loop is a 6. It's just due to his range. Of course, when you're running around tight corners as well and he can't physically see you with his gun, he won't be able to get you. But certain tiles, he can use his chain and pull you around and down you quite quickly. But of course, I feel like with add-ons, this makes this a lot more powerful. In terms of his base kit, it's okay. It's definitely not better than the next killer I'm going to mention, but it's still very, very nice, and he can be very annoying to go against, and a lot of people do not like being chased by a Deathslinger. So I'll give him a total score of 13. Next killer in this list is Huntress. Huntress has a really weird stealth factor. She's very loud because she hums, but the game doesn't really tell you which direction she's coming from until sort of the last second, because she actually has a very small tear radius, but her lullaby is very large. That's why she doesn't get a 5 out of 5, because of course you know you're in the vicinity of Huntress, but you just can't really pinpoint her location unless you physically see her. So she gets a score of 3. Her speed is actually a 3, which is going to confuse a few people because she's actually really slow. But the reason I'm giving her 2 extra points than, say, Deathslinger is because of her range potential and how fast her hatchets go, which you might be thinking is her anti-loot, but if she's trying to snipe you from the distance, then to me that's quite the speedy hit and is map pressure. Sounds a bit odd, but I had to give her a few more points somewhere, and I think hatchet speed falls under speed. This is my tier list, I'll do what I want. I don't give her any bonus because of course she can't force mending at all on any survivors or slow the game down that way. And anti-loop, I'm giving her an 8 out of 10. Her hitboxes are questionable. She's very quick when lifting up her hatchets and can hit you over the pallet most of the time, and going against a Huntress who's got great aim can be very, very terrifying. Of course, she can hit you from basically anywhere if she's got line of sight, which makes her very, very dangerous to go against. So I score her a 14. Next killer on this tier list is Pyramid Head, who I shove in A tier as well. Pyramid Head hasn't really got any stealth factor, very loud killer. Drags around that sword, you know he's coming, he can be very, very loud. I've given him a speed factor of 3. Like Huntress, his power can be very, very quick to activate, and it's very quick when it hits you. You barely have any time to react at all, which makes him a very annoying killer to go against. In terms of his speed, in terms of the map pressure, he hasn't got anything to make him faster, it's just his power. I give him a bonus of 3 out of 5 because of his ability to get people cursed and to cage them and to mori them, which then again ties into the speed factor because he hasn't got to hook survivors, he can just quickly cage them and then commit to chase again, which makes him very annoying to go against and one of the best tunnelers in the game. His anti-loot potential is a solid 8 out of 10. I stick by this very easily. His ability to hit through walls is insane, and as I said earlier, it's very, very quick and can be very annoying to go against. And he has unlimited ammo. He can constantly just spam that power at you at a loop tile until he hits you if he really wanted to. Very, very strong killer indeed, Pyramid Head. Next killer on the list is Twins, which I'm going to shove in A tier as well. Twins can be a very stealthy killer, especially when you're controlling Victor, as he has absolutely no terror radius. The only noise notification you get is when he starts growling, when he starts to aim at you, which doesn't give you a lot of time at all. Of course, Charlotte doesn't have any stealth factor unless you're controlling Victor, and when she comes out of it, she may jump scare a survivor. In terms of Charlotte, she doesn't really have any when she's being controlled whatsoever. I've rewarded Twins a 3 in speed because Victor is very, very quick, and I've deducted 2 points because of course Charlotte is very, very slow. She's just a normal N1 killer. Given a bonus of 3 because survivors have to get Victor off them. They don't have to, but that means they won't be able to do anything. And it will give a notification to Charlotte to where they are, and it will even alert other survivors as well, because of course Victor gives a heartbeat notification of when any other survivors are nearby. I'll be giving Charlotte a 5 out of 10 in terms of anti-loop. The reason being is because Victor can be kicked when you miss, and you can vault windows and pallets early to avoid going and getting hit by him. And if Charlotte is really far away and you think you have enough time, you can always jump in a locker. Of course, Victor can jump on the locker too, but you should have enough time if Charlotte is miles away to get out in time. So there are some countermeasures to dealing with Victor, thus a score of only 5, giving her an overall score of 14. Next killer on this list is going to be Blight, and I'm going to put him confidently in S tier. Blight, I'm giving a stealth factor of 2 out of 5. just because of his sheer speed and catching survivors off guard when he comes out of literal nowhere because he's so fast. And I'm giving his speed a 5 out of 5. Insanely quick killer. Same speed as Billy when he's rushing, and of course with add-ons he's even faster. But even without any add-ons, insanely quick killer. Doesn't get any bonus marks because he can't slow down the game in any way with mending or madness or infections. He's just a normal hitting killer. And I'm giving his anti-loop an 8 out of 10, not full 10 out of 10. The reason why I don't give him 4 marks is because of collisions. That's the only reason. If Blight could collide into objects correctly, and as he should be able to, he'd probably get a 10 out of 10 because a Blight in the right hands is insane. But every now and then, even the best Blight will try and collide into something, and the game will just be like, nope, you're going to keep on sliding along, and that can buy a survivor a lot of distance. So I'm giving him a total score of 15. Next killer in this list is Hag, and I'll gladly put her in S tier as well. Her stealth factor is actually a 3. You can physically see the traps, but because they're quite hard to see and she can literally just appear out of nowhere when you've activated a trap, it can be very annoying. And I'm definitely confident at least someone watching this video has been jump scared by Hag several times. I definitely have, so that's why I'm rewarding her a stealth factor of 3. Her speed is a 4, not giving her full marks because she does have to set up, and she's a very slow killer in terms of actually moving around on her legs. But she can instantly teleport and hit you very quickly once she's set that up, making her very dangerous to go against. Haven't given her any bonus points. Her anti-loop is 8 out of 10. Not full marks, again, because she has to set up. But if a Hag is making you run in an area where she's set up, you're going down insanely quickly. There's not much you can do against a Hag that has got good traps set up. It can be a very annoying killer to go against. She is very territorial and very, very powerful indeed. Next killer on this tier list, and we're getting to the end, is Nurse. Nurse, I'm giving a stealth factor of 3, only due to the fact that when she blinks, you do get a noise notification, but if you can't physically see her, because she can blink through walls, she can just come out of nowhere and give you a right heart attack. So she's got a great stealth factor just due to the fact that she's quick and can teleport through walls. Giving her a speed of 5 out of 5, insanely fast killer. Can easily navigate the map very quickly, even with just 2 blinks. Bonus of 0, as she hasn't got anything else that can slow the game down in any way. And anti-loop, I've given her a 10 out of 10. No way can anyone argue with me that Nurse isn't one of the best killers in the game for anti-loop. The fact that she can teleport next to you just says it all. There's not much you can do against a good Nurse. You can bait blinks and things like that and drop pallets and potentially stun her, but once a Nurse is on you, and if they know what they're doing, you're not getting away very easily. So I've given her an overall score of 18. Last but not least, my favorite killer in the game, only kidding, is Spirits, and you guys can easily say that this killer is S tier. Her stealth factor is 3. The reason I'm not giving her full marks is because from a distance you do know that she's phasing because of the noise notification, but if you're in her terror radius and she goes into phase and is chasing you, you have no idea where she's coming from. There are no cues, there's no hints or tricks. You're probably going to end up taking the hit. Her speed is 5 out of 5, insanely fast killer when in phase, really annoying to deal with and go against. No bonus marks for her as she can't slow down the game in any way and she can't insta-down. Anti-loop, 10 out of 10. I mean, very self-explanatory. Spirit can literally run at you a million miles per hour while invisible, and it's a complete guessing game of where she's going to show up. You can bring perks like Iron Will to deal with her, but a good Spirit doesn't really care. She'll just follow your scratch marks and catch you very, very easily. So I've given her a total score of 18. So that is my overall tier list. Sorry if I stuttered or said something a bit weird during that. I'm trying to record this in one take because I want to get this out as quick as I can for you guys. I have put a lot of thought into this. I will show you the spreadsheet that I use now to score the killers. This isn't a perfect scoring system, as I said, but I'm very confident with the tier list that I've made for all of these killers and the reasons why. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to come up with a way of scoring these killers in certain areas. And if you guys don't agree with me on a certain point, or you think a killer deserves a different scoring system, then let me know in a comment below what you'd score that killer, because it'd be really great to have a healthy discussion about this. And of course, I'm not always correct. This is just an opinion. And yes, I do have to stress that quite a few times, because I feel like some people in the community can get really offended when I say their favorite killer is B tier or C tier. As I said, just my opinion. Guys, I've rambled on for way too long. Hopefully you found this interesting. And as I said, let me know in a comment below what your opinions are. Guys, I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Peace out.